This real-side experience would begin with me in a kind of a spaceship, more an enlarged cubicle really, with gadgetry, blinking lights, levers, and all the stuff you need to fly spaceships. It reminded me a little of the TARDIS really, with the overall impression of its shape and internal mechanics. I was amongst two other people. I did not recognize them, nor have the impression of familiarity, as sometimes we may have others in our experience that the personal self does not recognize, but can seem familiar. When we are amongst those we know on the physical, we tend not consider that we do. It just is so. And this can be the case on the real side, as the full extent of our created self throughout the life levels will undoubtedly have many acquaintances and associations with individuals that are very familiar at the time of the experience, but not so when we return to the physical, and the identities of those in the experience cannot be matched to any file in our current mind of references from this lifetime. The two individuals in the ship with me were male, and on waking I wondered if they were the guides, but I didn't detect the mighty isness awareness signature that is their telltale sign that is detectable even through the guises they may adopt. We were all wearing a similar uniform of a kind, sort of military in its design, a dark blue with gold tassels and trimmings. Seemed then we were almost like soldiers of a kind, and often real side situations may present in this way. For as the Nufriends earn their way, it is demonstrated on the real side as earning the uniform, like soldiers of the true reality, on the battlefield of creation, presenting the ease. Then ranks of achievement beyond that. To me, the gold trimmings were a further indicator of this, gold being very much associated with the real universes. So these were maybe other new friends that my personal self was unfamiliar with, maybe from another dimension, life level, and even though they looked human, they may not necessarily have been. We all had handheld devices that could register the presence of demons, vampires, and reptilians. And it appeared we were all heading to some destination in this spacecraft, which appeared to be on autopilot. We had a different mission each, it would appear, because only in this spacecraft, at this scene of the experience, would we be in each other's presence. I did not know as to the nature of the respective objectives of the others. In fact, I didn't know at that particular moment what mine was. Again, very apparent was the demonstration of how the personal self is always on the real side, but it is the real you orchestrating events with the real guides, and the personal self never knows much of what's going on. It kind of observes as the real you goes about its experience, then on waking must attempt to recollect, piece it all together with its literary reference capabilities, and access the real awareness as much as possible to gain insights and recognitional understandings of what the real side experience demonstrated. Anyway, the scene would skip, and I would not see my new friend comrades again, as we were deployed on our missions. We were absent of the demonic detectors now, but I suspect they were just for demonstrational purposes, to indicate that the unfolding experience pertained to the dark forces, the reptilians, etc., that perhaps if the personal self on waking was unsure of the overall nature of the experience, which can be so, the presence of dark force detector equipment would be the hint. For without the overall scene, the theme of the experience grasped, we can't very well build upon it and fully grasp its demonstration. And if we build the idea of what was presented from shaky theme foundations, much can be lost in the translation. I was now in a film studio or other, and I had an adopted disguise of my own. I was in female form, like a spy or some such. I must have infiltrated this studio and been accepted into it, as there was an unfolding scene being filmed, and I was playing a part in it, although I had the impression the game was up, that I had somehow been exposed, and even as I was in this film scene, these others around me all knew. But I suppose the show must go on, as they say. It was a live filming, and seemed they couldn't cease its rollout. With my cover blown, I was rather vulnerable now, and compromised. So I disrupted the film, and ceased playing my role, much to these individuals' disdain. Interestingly, the film was seemingly supposed to be for the viewing public, like one of those reality shows, and not a fiction as it actually was, for we all had rehearsed lines and actions. So it was very much a demonstration of marketing ploy, and the individuals ploying everybody here were the dark forces' agents and minions. What looked to be something on the surface as beneficial, and an agreement securer resultingly, was all fake, and run by these dubious cabal characters. So, in reality, was far from what was presented to the public. With my cover blown, and the reality show ruined, there was no further need to play the pretense any longer. One individual declared he knew I was not a female, and how I was an infiltrator, and he grabbed at my clothing. It kind of unzipped, and then I shrugged off my entire female form like an overlayer to reveal myself as I actually was. They launched an attack, lunging themselves at me with blades and piercing weaponry. I would bring magical abilities to bear, and blast them with blue fire from my hands, scattering and dispatching my assailants. We always have the right to defend ourselves, and if we are operating from the real intent of our ongoing awareness and recognition of the is process, being on our adventures, sharing the is and earning our way, then it's instant karma for our attackers, demonstrated here, as they were unable to defeat me, as I laid waste to their number. It is a standard also that as we share the is throughout creation and the real side, we open ourselves up to attacks by the dark forces, or attacks by anyone and anything else that feels aggrieved by what we are presenting. A few remaining of my attackers I would deal with in a more mundane way. I strangled them, and one of the assailants' heads popped off his shoulders like a cork from a bottle. Maybe my blue fire reserves had run out or something. Anyway, here I was in this building, and I was uncertain as to my exit strategy. But then a female would appear in the doorway and offer to lead me to safety. I would accompany her, and we made our way downwards into the bowels of this building, as this was the only way out.